Testing 1, 2, 3.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Hey, I got Gerald Glassford on the line here, Haas. My co-host, Big Haas, is willing to uses the name Haas on online.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Great to be on the show, guys. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me on the show.
Gerald, basically not. Are you just curious? Are you using like GarageBand or are you using Audacity?
I'm actually using Audacity, but I can record. Like I said, I'm actually recording the conversation right now as we speak. So everything is going on right now. You guys are on speakerphone, so it's not going to pick up you guys, but it's picking up my voice crystal clear. So.
Okay, perfect. No problem at all. Basically, how we do this is, I don't know, it's sort of the old two. So we're going to talk a little about got it. All right, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Voice from the Underground podcast. This is episode number 11. And we have Big House. What's up, my friend? How you doing? I'm all right. How you doing, man? Good to be here. I'm hanging in there. 2018, we're starting out the show today. We have a special guest on. I'd like to introduce him to you all. I know that a lot of you guys may know Gerald already. We have Gerald had me on as a guest on his show. A couple weeks back, we talked a little bit about Fox and Disney. Gerald, welcome to Voice from the Underground, our very first ever guest.
Great to be here. I appreciate it. So glad to be part of the Voice from the Underground, and just truly appreciate you guys inviting me on. Just so excited to be part of the show and ready to dig into some great topics.
Absolutely, and we're excited to have you on. Now, before we get rolling, well, here at Voice from the Underground, for those of you who have hit play for the first time today, we are basically just a few guys sitting around talking about current events, talking about politics, talking about sports. Tell us a little bit about your show. What's the history of the Pop Culture Cosmos podcast?
Well, the Pop Culture Cosmos show actually is now pretty much in its second year now of existence. It actually came about. We did a video game podcast, Reliant podcast, for over about 6 years, I'd say, and then we just wanted to see a change because we wanted to go ahead and delve into all realms of pop culture and didn't want to be just confined by just boxing into one type of thing to delve into on a weekly basis. So we decided to delve into a broader area of pop culture. And my co-host and I, Josh Peterson of Humanica Media, who also hosts his own great podcasts out there, we got together to bring everybody twice a week on Apple Podcasts and over a dozen audio outlets the latest and greatest that's going on in pop culture twice a week. It's been actually a pretty good run for us. We've been the #1 show on the podcast radio network now for well, actually we were for the year 2017. The station goes back up again later this month, and we're looking forward to being back on there again. And also as well, we were nominated for Discover Pods Awards, so which was very great honor indeed. And actually it was just been a great year for us, 2017, and we're looking forward to even better things. As like I said, we do shows twice a week for 2018. We just thank anyone at all for listening to not only your show and also our shows as well.
Absolutely, Gerald. I've had the pleasure of listening to your podcast.
That's actually the way we pitched it originally. When I was evolving away from the video game podcast, Reliant podcast, we were just going to a broader, more pop culture. I was actually marketing it to terrestrial radio stations first, and marketing it as a radio show with formats with brief intermissions and stuff like that, as far as segments out there that would actually keep going. It's a very fast-paced show. Just hits you hard, hits you quick, great topics, great discussions, interesting guests, one right after the other. And I thought just that, it would be better in a radio format. And while, we got attached to the podcast radio network, it's been great for us, but so many other different internet radio stations out there have picked us up, and it's been a great thing for us. And like I said, if anybody wants to listen in their car or listen on the headphones to the latest and greatest in pop culture, you just tune into us. You get your quick fix right there, and an hour later, you're up to speed with what's going on, everything in pop culture. And I'll tell you what, that's after you go ahead and listen to a great show and great episode of Voice from the Underground with these guys breaking all down in detail first. So that not don't mind at all after if you listen to us after you listen to these great guys here.
Hey, we'll take any listeners.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? Every listener counts, and I'll tell you what, anybody who's listening out to any of these shows, we just truly appreciate it, and all props to you, because it definitely, if it wasn't for Jorge and everybody else out there that listens to your show and our shows, you know, we wouldn't be doing this. So we just truly thank everyone for doing so.
Hey, absolutely.
Well, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. If you're interested in checking us out, the first place you go, obviously, if you're really social media savvy, is checking out Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook or Twitter. Our channels come right up there, and we'll give you the latest information on how to reach our shows. Or if you type up Pop Culture Cosmos on a Google search, all the information comes up there. Our channels are now available on Apple Podcasts, ESO Network, Tangibound Network, Gunny Geek Network, and like I said, over a dozen different major audio outlets that are out there. Google Play. I could just, the list goes on and on. Just like you guys, I'm sure, on several outlets. I remember talking to you, and I know you were rambling off quite a few yourself there on Voice from the Underground. So, you know, if you just type in Pop Culture Cosmos on a search, it comes right up. And I'll tell you what, if you do follow us on social media, we also all week long bring you the latest news from pop culture, which means video games, movies, television, esports, regular sports. You know, the list goes on and on as far as anything out there that's not politically or religiously motivated. If you're just out there just to get fun entertainment news or fun entertainment items that are out there, we try to bring you update with all that and even more. So, well, it worked out very well for us. We did it for a long time. We had a great crew and a great staff rotating. You know, I had, like, at one time, over 20 different people, you know, coming on as regular hosts and guests and co-hosts and all that. But it just, we wanted to move. We just started talking about things outside of pop of you know, we started talking about movies. We started talking about comic books. We started talking about all that good stuff. So yeah, we needed to just. Oh,
hold on. Sorry about that, Joe.
No worries.
Hey, Jay. Hey, you can probably edit.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
Little technical difficulty there. Go ahead, Gerald. Continue where you were coming from.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, we were doing the show for several years and we enjoyed it thoroughly, but it started creeping in as far as different aspects of the pop culture world, movies, television, things of that nature, into the video game shows. So we, like I said, we needed to evolve it into something more, and we, you know, we came up with the Pop Culture Cosmos format, and it truly has done, you know, exceedingly much better than what I had even thought it would do. So truly thankful to everyone out there for listening, and I hope everyone out there gives it a chance.
On for some video game talk, he'd probably be all over that.
Oh, sounds great. Sounds great indeed.
Okay. Yeah, then we'll finish up with the 2018 predictions. I'll let you take it then. What are some yeah, those two movies there. What's your favorite? Haas, what's your favorite part of Office Space? Uh, I think. Okay. Can I go in two? Can I go in two spots? I
I never looked at the copier the same way again. After seeing that scene, it was just such a great scene as far as with the music tied into it. They're taking their frustration out. Yes. Obviously, also was well going into an Applebee's style thing with Jennifer Aniston having to wear the tassels and all that, and the manager going off on her because she wasn't wearing the correct amount, and that was a very good scene. Yes, the amount of flair, correct. That was a great scene. With Keenan Ivory Wayans, he's such a genius in comedy. Obviously, taking from that as well, moving on to "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker" is just that movie was just so funny for me as well, as far as and having to go around and walk around with your own theme music right behind you. I thought that was very novel, and I laughed a lot during that movie as well. So those are great choices. Definitely some great choices indeed.
My favorite part of Office. You're used to you've been down in the LA traffic every once in a while. In Chicago, we've got that same problem.
Oh yeah, I just experienced it very recently in LA. Yes, I lived in LA for the first 25 years of my life as well, and I just went back there recently. And yes, LA traffic is it's not fun to say the least.
Oh my God.
Came out in '96. Came out.
Yes, 1996.
96, yeah.
96?
Yes.
Yep, and a spoof on a lot of he's playing the part. Yeah. He's spoofing that. He's spoofing the part. Marlon's a bunny slippet.
Marlon is Loke Dog.
Marlon wins. And I think if I remember correctly, on the cover of the DVD, he has like a super soaker or something like that. He's put
I have seen it, but yes, like you, I saw it in the theaters many years ago. I've not seen it since it's done. It's hard. You can't find it though very much on. It does not get played on television though in reruns. Silver Streak. Silver Streak. A good choice. Yeah, excellent choice. Oh, yes, I've got three. I've got three whenever you guys are ready. So I apologize for that. I got three whenever you guys are ready. So that's actually of the three. It's actually my second of the third between those two. I am a sucker for Silver Streak. I'm not gonna lie. I just that whole I guess the whole story and the climactic ending, obviously with the train going through the train station, but Stir Crazy, they make the movie. The movie itself, if you try to deviate from it from any type of plot or story, whatnot, it's more of a performance vehicle for those two just to work off of each other, and they are so brilliant when they work off of each other. And you when yeah, exactly, that's what makes the movie. That's what makes the movie. Silver Streak. The only difference is I think I give Silver Streak a little bit more of a little bit better recommendation. Is only because of the fact I thought the story helped it out and the supporting characters were written a little bit better than I think in Stir Crazy. Because like I said, Stir Crazy to me was just a huge vehicle for those two to just to be themselves and have such a great time doing it. I think it was Stir Crazy.
Obviously, I don't know. Just when we talk about the chronology, Silver Streak was first in 19.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then Stir Crazy in 1980. That was that far after that? Yeah, and then in 1990. Now we have to come see that one. No, I didn't. That's the first I heard of it. I didn't know that the movie was so far apart. I thought they were close. No, I didn't know either. I figured they were on the early 70s. Yeah, but you had told me. Right. They didn't put us to maintain that chemistry up for all of that time.
Yeah.
Because the No Evil, Hear No Evil was great. It was great, and they had. You know, usually people it's hard to maintain that type of chemistry.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you got for us, Gerald?
Well, I've got three for you guys. Two before in the, let's say two of the 20th century and one in the 21st century type deal. First two, I'll do the deal with the two older ones. I think one that people really love to shout out the most that actually, just recently had an anniversary, but still people from today have not really checked it out. They need to go check it out. And that's The Princess Bride. I think Rob Reiner's, yeah, I think it's underrated now because people just because people don't have, you talk to anyone under 30 and they will have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that people who are like our age, they have right. But the generation after, like guys who are
Exactly.
they are, yeah, and in that case, I think Gerald's correct. Daughters are, well, were you using the same wings? I brought it up on the podcast. That so, anybody want to beat us?
Oh, have fun storming the castle, or I'm Diego Montoya.
I was watching the Bang Theory. So that movie resonates so well. I mean, it's in my opinion, that's the best album. And that's saying something because there's so many fans. Oh man, Young Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein, right? That made me put it on the list, Joe.
Well, I think, like I said, it's something when you said underrated comedies, obviously, like I said, with us, it is very well thought of, but it's just almost completely forgotten about in today's culture, as far as what a well structured movie with characters that get their chance to shine. I really like those films that everyone gets a chance to shine. Everybody's given quality lines to read and something that resonates. Even character actors like Carol Kane, Andre the Giant was in it. Just so many different diverse characters that even they still have got great lines. They got great appearances, and obviously a well structured story, and just way it laid out. It was just beautifully made from beginning to finish. I think that it's something that shouldn't be forgotten. But like I said, after our generation, it's going to be hard to remember that as a great comedy, because I think the comedy genre in general is not as lively as far as comedy movies are in today's age. They need to be brought out better. I think they need to be supported better than what they were maybe 20 years ago. I think they were better supported than they are now. I think, superhero movies, action movies, they are beloved right now by, even horror movies are beloved by the audiences right now. Comedy movies have taken a little bit of back seat, but it's remembering films like The Princess Bride, which make me feel that I think that it's such an underrated movie in regards to today's culture, realizing just exactly where in film history it lies. So that's to me a great one. I've got another great one, but whenever you guys are ready.
Would you or would you not, respectively, in favor of seeing the
I I I don't. Personally, I wouldn't, because that movie was so good. I don't know how you can do that film justice, as far as, even if you tried to do it note for note. I just don't think that you can actually do that film justice, because there was so much going on that was so brilliant, and it's such a break the fourth wall type movie, and it as it did so, it made you laugh, and it just, I don't know how you could do that. I just don't know how you could do that and get away with doing it very well. Yes, that's correct. So just a brilliant movie, and not only that, it makes a social statement that is as well that's so strong and still holds very strong today. I just I don't know how you could do that movie any better, or even come close. I've got two more. I'll actually go to what I think is Chevy Chase's best performance, and not just because I'm a Lakers fan, but Fletch. I think Fletch as a whole not only is a terrific movie, but it's so funny, and it does actually have a plot that is good enough that gets you going. It's good enough basically for a vehicle for Chevy Chase to be Chevy Chase, and I think it's his best performance. Because I know Chevy Chase can grade on some people as far as his performance is concerned when he gets too over the top, but I think Fletch to me was probably the peak of his career as far as him carrying a movie.
Absolutely. Chevy Chase, makes a comedy not quite as popular today as you'd like it to be.
Well, I think first off, it just gets lost within the sea of 80s movies. I think that's its age. It's obviously first to me. It's first something that has got a lot to do with it. Then I think also as well Chevy Chase. I think Chevy Chase's career after that movie, a lot of choices that he made individually as an actor and as a comedian, both kind of let's just say he made a lot of bad choices after the at near the end of the 80s and whatnot. The 90s weren't very kind to him. There was you and I had all three of us could just come together and rattle off a lot of bad choices that he made where he lost that ability to be that commanding presence on screen. And as I watched Fletch, there is no real other co-star. They're all just there to support him, and it's a vehicle for him. And you're either going to love Chevy Chase in this film, or you're going to either just really just trash his film because you cannot stand anything that Chevy Chase does, because his shtick is, it's either love or hate it, and there's no two ways about it. And this is, to me, this is the best of Chevy Chase doing Chevy Chase and his smart aleckness, being a smart ass and all that stuff. So I think he's really just at his peak right there. And but the problem is, like I said, it's a film from the mid '80s, and it doesn't age very well. I know that with the '80s pop soundtrack right smack dab in the middle of it. I know that to me it reminds me a lot of the Beverly Hills Cop movies, because the Beverly Hills Cop movies, which were just such a standout series of movies during the '80s, unfortunately, because they're '80s pop music that they tied into and everything, which works so well for that time, it doesn't bode well in 2017, because it's just like it's a reminder of the 80s and what was nice then. It just doesn't transcend as well today. Those films don't age well from the 80s for the most part, and that's probably why I could say why it is probably forgotten about. But I think if anybody wants to check back Chevy Chase's career, I think that's where I'd tell them to start first and foremost.
The
Well, he was obviously pushing it. That's for sure. I do, and it's funny because actually, we have a website, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and I did last year. I actually tallied together because my co-host and I were running down our favorite movies of all time, and I put this on my top 25 list. I think it's a very underrated film, even though it was a number one hit when it came out. It did make good amount of money, but I think more often it should be remembered as a very influential film. In fact, one of the most influential films in the 21st century. And I know people laugh at me when I say this, but I think the 40-Year-Old Virgin should be considered one of the best comedies of this century, but more so for the talent that it produced from that movie, because that list of actors that are in that movie, from Steve Carell finally getting that starring role that he looked like he was going to go, and from that movie on, the Office started taking off after that, and the skyrocket for him was just starting to go off right after that movie hit number one. You've got Seth Rogen, you've got appearance by Kevin Hart. That was really where people first got to see Kevin Hart's great talent. Jonah Hill, one of his first films right there. Just so, the list goes on. Leslie Mann, Elizabeth Banks. There's obviously, well, Ant-Man. There you go. He's in it. I mean, people need to look at that and watch that film. It still plays all the time on MTV and other channels like that. But to look at it as far as, okay, all these actors that are starring in films today and are leading comedies, leading action picks, leading superhero movies, leading dramas, they are all basically got a huge bump from this movie. And that's because this movie is so good and so funny in so many ways. My favorite line from the movie, actually, I'll probably say it's probably actually it's not a line per se, but I think it's probably when Leslie Mann and Steve Carell actually were leaving the nightclub, and she was driving, and she was already very heavily intoxicated, and she decided to go ahead, and she was talking to him, and they looked like they were going to get a little bit intimate, and she ends up actually throwing up all over him, and and then she asks him, "Do you still want to get intimate?" And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks very much, though." And then obviously when they're in the scene when he's trying to, the guys, his friends, had told him to, you need a new look, you need a better look, get him new clothes, whatnot. But when they go ahead and decide to try and remove his chest hair, and he's screaming and screaming. Yeah, he's screaming, "Oh, Kelly Clarkson!" The whole 9 yards. Yeah, that's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I mean, there's so many influential actors in there that have done so many great roles. The young lady who, she was a co-star in Thor, but she did the comedy for several years. The one where there are two waitresses. She was in it as well. Just so Catherine Keener, who was in Get Out. There's a list of actors and actresses who use that film as a vehicle to kickstart their career in really high places. So I mean, I got to say, 40-Year-Old Virgin is just basically, of this century, one of the most influential films that's out there. Yeah, actually, she directed the pitch. She directed Pitch Perfect 2. That actually is the most successful of the series.
favorite parts because Seth Rogen just goes, okay, whatever, takes his shirt off, decides to get in the bathtub with her.
Yep, exactly. And Paul Rudd's in the film. Mindy Kaling is in the film. I mean, Mindy Kaling, she's in there. So, I mean, my gosh, it's just the list goes on and on of just actors, comedians that we now know and have done so much great work there. Just I cannot speak enough good things about the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Is just truly a great movie. And if anybody hasn't seen it, they need to, because it's definitely a very funny movie indeed. Yeah. Oh yes, yes.
Oh gosh, what's his name?
Jason Segel. Oh, you mean the one where they're in Hawaii?
But I knew that wasn't.
Uh
It's one of those movies that gets funnier literally every.
yeah, it was a really good movie. Really good movie.
One there that's underrated because watch that movie. There's so many funny things in that movie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And you don't think about it. You don't think about how freaking funny that movie was. Yeah, definitely. You put some real thought into this. And he and they're all past their. In fact, one of the other guys.
I said this. You know what? What can I just say something for a sec? I was in a local store with my daughters, and my daughters didn't know. They actually saw the cover art for the DVD for that movie, and I actually had said the same exact thing to them because I was telling them I thought that was the better movie of them two. And I thought that was going to when they said they were going to do a movie Gary again, I thought that was exactly the one they were going to do a sequel to. Well, first of all, I love the fact that there's those two getting together is that there's such a they play off of each other in this movie really well. Not as big a fan of the Daddy's Home movies on a personal level, but yeah, this one I think showcases their relationship and their rapport with each other very good. Obviously, you gotta love the Prius. Anything done with the Prius as far as their police vehicle. But I also love, yeah. But I also love the fact that Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock seem to really enjoy the time that they were in it, and yeah, they just seem to have a blast just going off on Will and Mark, all the brief times that they were in the picture. But yeah, it was just, to me, it was just a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, that Prius that being shot up like that was just seeing it just throughout get worse and worse as the movie continues, even though that was his prized possession, was just hilarious.
His son wants to become a bisexual DJ.
Yeah,
Oh my lord!
and it was funny.
I gotta watch that.
It was funny because this was Michael. This was the time where Michael Keaton wasn't exactly well thought of in Hollywood. He had already lost a little bit of favor with Hollywood, This was before Birdman and his resurgence as a top actor. So it's actually really good to see him on that screen.
What's that about Travolta? I said before he went Travolta.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh
yeah.
You know, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's very good. Yeah.
Downey Jr. I mean, it's. Let me ask you guys a question. Somebody else was cast.
Well, eventually this has got to happen because he's already said he's eventually going to be leaving at some point in time in the near future.
Here's the foundation.
Yeah, it just went over 1.2. Yes.
Absolutely not. It wasn't that good.
I thought the latest flick in the Star Wars saga. I probably have to say I put it into three parts. I thought the first part was okay. It was pretty good. The second part was really bad. But the third part was really memorable for me, and I thought it closed out on a high note. So overall, I'd have to give it an okay film. I think it was right around what The Force Awakens was for me, but that middle of the movie, just anybody who gets lost because the middle gets so convoluted and slow, I can't blame them. I can't blame them if they don't like the film, because it's hard to get people back if your middle part is just so bad and just so disjointed. But that, to me, that
I was like, okay, I go and anybody need to grab a glass of water. We'll try to get this wrapped up in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Is that okay, guys?
Yep. Good by me.
We could do like, wait, you want Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos. Gerald, give us the Pop Culture Cosmos in your voice on the show.
Oh, well, I usually do an intro like, on today's episode, we're talking Star Wars, Marvel, and all other great things pop culture. You know, I just do an intro in a cheesy announcer voice like that. But basically, once you get me started talking pop culture, I go ahead and rattle off in my normal voice. Yeah, it's just a cheesy intro, but it's also to tell everybody what's coming up on the episode.
Let's look ahead to 2018. If you guys want to hear our last show was basically a recap. Yeah, we keep trying to put as much dirt on that as possible.
I'm just going to say I agree with your sentiments as far as 2017 not being the best of years. I'm glad it's in the rearview mirror.
Gerald, if you want to go with two, go ahead. But what is the movie you're looking most forward to?
Well, I'm going to give you one that we did on our show, but I'm also going to give you one that I should have put definitely on the show as well. I'm going to start with the one that I didn't put, and I really kicked myself in the head for because I know a lot of people. I've been talking to them. They are really excited for this film. I love the trailer. It is probably for me the best trailer. It's either that or Infinity War, but those two trailers have just come out and just rocked the world.
I forgot to say your can't see Infinity War because that's
No. I'm just saying the trailer that came out is just as good as Infinity War, and it holds up on its own. And I've been talking to a lot of people; they're really excited about it, and so am I. Black Panther. I think that movie is going to be a big hit for Marvel. I think it's going to be. I'll tell you what. I know Thor and I know Guardians of the Galaxy have both generated about $850 million worldwide each. I'm going to say right now, I'm going to think Black Panther is going to be right in that $700 to $800 million range, and it is going to be a big hit for Marvel that they can go ahead and work a sequel off of down the road. And I think they're going to be ecstatic over how it does because I think it's going to resonate with audiences, and I think Chadwick Boseman is going to be a superstar. So,
absolutely. Oh yeah. you know, and a year after the event, right, you know, right. Is going to keep any of the general white community from seeing it, or do you think that this just looks too beautiful and it's too important to the MCU for people to say, "Oh, I'm not supposed to do that this black movie"?
Well, I'm going to be on.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to a smaller amount than at any point in time, but I think there's always going to be that designated audience which just doesn't get it and never will. And but I will tell you, because it's the platform that Black Panther is going to be on. The fact that it's a Marvel movie, the fact that it sets up a lot for Infinity War, it's going to break down a lot of those barriers, and a lot of those people who wouldn't, see the brilliant. Let's take, for instance, Get Out. Get Out is, for me, one of the best movies of last year. We voted it one of the best movies last year. I don't care exactly, who has an opinion, because they didn't want to see it because it was, it was SO the theme and whatnot. It sends a great social statements. It's a brilliantly made movie, and I think it should have garnered more dollars than it did. But I'll tell you what, it's probably going to win an Oscars or two. Will come, so maybe hopefully that will be get everybody's notice on that. But going back to Black Panther, it's just a great platform for the African American community, I believe, as well. And just agreeing with you, Kendrick Lamar is going to make the soundtrack, and I already heard some of the songs that just really, really good. And I just tell you what, I think it will bring more people in who wouldn't traditionally see a movie just because of those ignorant and repugnant issues. And I just think they will bring in a larger audience because of that. And like I said, I'm not going to be surprised if it matches Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy at 850 million dollars. I will not be surprised. And I will hope actually that it gets $1 billion and sends a strong statement to those that small that small group out there who are still not going to see it regardless, just because of who's involved and who's leading the picture. There is still going to be a small one, and you know what? They're going to miss out on what I think is going to be a great film. Absolutely, just like Wonder Woman did, and Gal Gadot breaking out with such a great performance herself, and making that a big hit movie, and just I hope as well that it does, because that old guys network in Hollywood, I hope it, as you're seeing, it's breaking down already with what went on last year, and these ideas just need to change, and Hollywood needs to go ahead and have a better way of thinking, as far as you need to be able to promote the best film with the best actors and actresses, regardless of whatever, or diversity or ethnicity or anything of that nature. You need to put the best people out there, and whatnot, because and if people miss out on Black Panther, you know what? That's their loss. That's their loss, because I think this is going to be a big hit for Marvel.
And I really, honestly, I think it's actually a little bit.
I think you guys were right. I think you guys were. I just want to say, I think you guys are right in saying that this could definitely be the start of something really good, and setting a role model, and as far as showing everyone out there that no matter what background you have, you can go ahead and become a star in Hollywood and have your own movie vehicle, and really just it sends a powerful message to everyone out there about exactly what they can achieve if they work hard for it. Oh yeah, just quickly, just Ready Player One, because they are updating it from what the book covered, because the book covered 80s pop culture. But if everybody, I think this is going to be the one of the biggest hits that Steven Spielberg has had in a long time. I think because it's going to touch on modern pop culture, not just past pop culture. I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to it more, and I think if people are going to be really excited, because this is now brings a new sci-fi possible movie institution, because they're going to make they're going to make a sequel to it as far as a new novel in the series, hopefully very soon. But yeah, I think this will be a big hit for Steven Spielberg, and that's Ready Player One. But I want to make sure you guys touch on sports too as well, because I love talking about sports all day as well.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Well, I also know that they just had their first dialogue with North and South Korea. Just had their first dialogue in quite a long time, and it was about, I think, sending a
They talked like 2 years ago.
yeah, but they talked recently.
Dialogue 2 years ago, but it was like it wasn't productive. So,
But I think they talked recently within the past week for the first time since then, and I think it was in regards to sending a delegation from North Korea.
I think got caught doing.
I think you're right on that. I think you're right on that.
I think a bunch of Russian athletes, and I forget what sport. I'm gonna go with Germany. You care to throw a prediction out there, Harold?
I'm gonna go after the U.S. I think because the U.S. I think is probably the favorite to win the most medals. I would probably go with Canada.
Golden Knights.
Yes, very happy with their success. Obviously, actually, in the history of the four major sports, it looks like if they keep on track, it will probably be the best expansion team, best expansion start forever. I do plan on going later in the season. Yeah, definitely. They are a hot ticket right now. Everybody's excited. So, and obviously, the great start has done nothing to quell that as far as the prices here in Vegas. But definitely want to go and catch a game as soon as I can. But yeah, it is definitely watching them on TV and seeing how good they are performing is just after what happened last year, and everybody knows what happened last year here in Vegas. It's definitely been a great, just such a positive thing for the community here, and just a great thing to look forward to. And seeing this community for so long, who either didn't care or just either the sports world didn't want a team here in Vegas, or and also the community really didn't band together to make it worthwhile for a team to come here. Seeing now the fact that we have two, and hopefully one day the NBA will come here, making it three pro franchises here in this city, is definitely would be something great indeed.
Okay, so actually, we're all going to go with the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
going to go. We're all going to go. Here's what I want.
Yeah, actually, I mean, how can you deviate from the Warriors? They're so skilled when they're passing. It's so beautiful to watch. As someone who's a Lakers fan, it just it's so hard. You see, if you are a basketball fan and you watch them when they're at their peak of their passing game, it's just so beautiful to watch. They're now getting back to full health as soon as KD comes back. Seeing Steph Curry like he is, he's in full midseason form. It's great to see for the league. I think they're going to be the champions. I think that both you guys have very valid points with both of them. I think it's going to be a toss-up. I think it's going to be a 7-game series in the league championship finals between Cleveland and Boston. I think the fact that Cleveland does have the edge with the experience. There are some very young, very talented individuals on Boston, but I think when it comes right down to it, where you're going to be relying on a lot of young, talented individuals at those key moments, and will they come through when the pressure's on? That still remains to be seen. Whereas you have in Cleveland all those grizzled veterans that will most likely show up and show up strong in the playoffs. So I'm gonna have to say Cleveland will eke it out into the finals, but then again, I think it will again be a gentleman's sweep. I agree with you 100%. It's going to be a gentleman's sweep, but this time it's going to be against the Cavs again, another 4-1 sweep. Gentleman's sweep, I should say. Gentleman's sweep. Gentleman's sweep. Yeah. I'd have to say, if you asked me about 2 months ago, I said the prospects are about 50-50. He does own a home here in he does own a home in Los Angeles. Actually, I think it's two homes. And he does want to become part of Hollywood, part of the production scene. He wants to become another Kobe Bryant, work in Hollywood and all that. I don't know if it's a clear cut and dry because the Lakers, they are such a work in progress. I mean, they're just getting back to any kind of semblance of competitiveness after losing so many in a row. They've got a long way to go. Yes, they'll have a lot of cap space come the summer, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough just to pry two superstars over there if the rest of the team is not good. Lonzo Ball is definitely a dynamic individual, but he's got to have a better jump shot if he's going to be able to be anything really, really good in this league. If he has great vision, great court awareness, he's actually much better on the defensive end than I thought he was. But he has got to be able to get that jump shot at a competitive level before the Lakers can really do anything. Kyle Kuzma has been a godsend for them. I thought that was an outstanding pick. And Brandon Ingram seems to be coming into his own. But I think the Lakers need to be able to make some moves first and solidify that roster a little bit more before they can even entertain the notion of getting LeBron and another major individual, Paul George or whoever, to the Lakers before I just think it's going to take a little bit more than just a lot of cap space to bring LeBron in. So I'm going to have to say right now, no.
Definitely going to it. I feel like.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're right. I think I'm going to start off with, I'm going to say, I'm going to throw something out there. I'm going to say Washington in the National League. I think their time is due. I think they've been underperforming these past couple of years. They were actually a lot of people's pick to go to the World Series last year. And I think Washington will get a nudge on the revamped Dodgers. And I think they're going to probably have a face. That's a good thing in American League. I think it's going to probably be either I'm sorry to everybody that say this, but I think it's either going to be the Red Sox or Yankees.
baseball probably 9 times on our podcast. We're only on our 11th episode.
Oh my gosh.
The thing about baseball is because it's so damn long.
Yeah. I mean
They play for freaking ever. It's like, okay.
Well, it's hard to sell this to it's hard to sell it to new audiences, and also as well, you got to better your team, Jason, the Chicago Cubs. That romance is over with the general public. I mean, everybody wanted to see the Cubs win. Now, what is there? I mean, there's no romanticism left, and baseball, like you said, it's too long, and people get out.
Figured to say that, but you still are aware there is a sport called football and they are playing. Yes, and it looks like it's, I mean, I'm going to, you know what,
Well, I don't know how you could deviate from the Patriots. I think Patriots are at this point everybody's money favorite. I know they are here in Vegas. If there's any team that's going to surprise, in my opinion, well, I'm going to have to say it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. I think if any team that I know it's to me not the Eagles because obviously Carson Wentz is not there. I don't think Nick Foles. You're going to get the Nick Foles of a few years ago. Jacksonville. I mean, they how they won today. I don't even have any idea how they won today because I thought Buffalo played the better game, but Blake Bortles is just awful as a quarterback. Pittsburgh. Which Pittsburgh are you going to get? Are you going to get the team that dominated several teams this year? Or are you going to get Roethlisberger? That's looks like he might be over the hill. It's just so hard because they've got so many weapons in Pittsburgh. You never know if they can compete with New England. I think they can, but I don't think they're going to get it done. I think of all the teams that I'm seeing, I'm probably going to have to say Minnesota is probably going to give New England the best chance at a Super Bowl win. But even then, I still got to go with the Patriots. They've lost 4 times. If they've lost 4 times, if I remember correctly, Bud Grant lost four Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. So. Well, that's a great question. I know it's been brought up quite a bit on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, and all that. My actual political stance is I'm actually not affiliated with any political party. But if you wanted to, I mean, I'm more than happy to tell anybody there that I'm not exactly thrilled with what's going on currently. I did not vote for the individual that sits in there right now. I wholeheartedly disagree with everything that individual does, uh, which is strange because I've leaned left and right over the course of many years. Depending on what I think is just who's is the country being run good or effectively or not. And I thought the country was doing very, very good. That we had individual we could respect and honor, and that the world saw as someone of respect. And then obviously this happened, and obviously this happened. So I think there is going to be a Trump effect, and I think that you will see a shift to the left, and I think it will be a decided, not 51-49 or whatever close proximity. I think it will be a 55 to almost a 60 seat, domination. I think there is going to be a Trump effect. I think people now didn't take it seriously in 2016, no matter what scandals hit or anything of that nature. I think people are actually going to start banding together, and for various reasons, whether it's the individual himself or whether it's other issues like net neutrality. I know is a big issue with people on the left and the right that and I just think that it's definitely going to be something that a lot of people are going to taking issue with, and I think a lot of people are going to get together and send a message to the individual sitting in that. Well, I don't know if he's ever sitting there. I think he's probably on the fairway, but um, you know that that individual there, that you need to your days are numbered, and definitely that hopefully that message will be sent loud and clear.
Let me ask you a quick question. Answer yes or no for me.
You know what? I've often said around the house, that's actually been asked quite a bit. Um, I put it like this: when you talk about that individual, I talk it like in the old days, in the old Western days, there was that snake oil salesman that came around, convinced everybody, talked so grand, and he bamboozled and tricked everybody on what he was actually selling, and tricked so many people into believing it, and he got out of town before he could actually get caught or arrested or whatnot. I think, unfortunately, he's going to find every which way to slither out of this. I wish I wish the opposite, but and people, if you have me on record for that, that's no problem by me. I wish the opposite, but I think, unfortunately, I don't believe that I have that good enough luck, and my prayers won't be answered. So I think he's going to be slithering around for the next 3 years. I just don't think we're going to be that lucky. It's I'm there. I'm not thrilled by it at all, in the very least. But unfortunately, I think I don't think you're going to ever connect the dots. I really don't think in this coloring book you're ever going to connect that final dot with enough evidence that you're going to be able to go ahead and yeah. Yeah. I mean, and how many years has it been since the last impeachment? Think about that. And what did it take to get to it? And in our days and age in 2017, with social media and news and whatnot, so many people thinking what they want to believe and reporting what they want to believe, it's just going to be so difficult for the enough truth to come out, that and enough proof to come out, that you could actually go ahead and get that guy out of office before he finishes 4 years and gets kicked out by us as the voters. So
Very, very insightful. I appreciate to agree with you. It's basically the way I look at it. I'm going to say that on the right who don't believe in ideology and not as far as the choice. Something's got to change in this country. So,
Well, I will say this. Can I just say one last thing, guys?
please do. Please do. You're the guest, my friend.
If it is a shift to the left as far as what's going on, I want to see one thing and one thing only, that the electoral college itself be removed, and it is already twice in the century already cost individuals on either side. You know, basically, when you vote for an individual, it should be the will of the people, and unfortunately, in 2 times in this century, the will of the people has not been heard. And I think it's time that the electoral college and that concept, which worked great couple hundred years ago, unfortunately is no longer adequate for our day and age. And I think that it is something at this point in time needs to be gotten rid of. I think if you have someone that's 3 million, that 3 million votes more than the other individual and still lose, that to me is wrong. And you know what, if in 2020, if that individual is voted, it has 3 million more votes than whoever's running against him and is not put in, I'm going to say the same thing. You know what? It should be the will of the people all the time. And unfortunately, as long as we still have these antiquated systems that individuals such as that can get by on, unfortunately, that's we're still going to have issues like this. Whether 50 or 100 years down the line, there's going to be another Trump in office that gets that lucks out on this stuff, and that's to me is wrong. I agree with you. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
People might get tired of it.
I agree. Yeah.
If you're out there, and you're listening to this podcast, you support.
I mean, I have friends myself that actually lean towards that way, and I still respect them. I've heard them, and they respect my opinion, and I respect theirs, and we are still very civil. In fact, like I said, I have lots of friends that do see that side of the fence, but I have a lot of friends that see my side of the fence as well. It's up to the individual themselves, but definitely for me, I couldn't agree with you guys more on your thoughts on that issue.
We really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and just basically your love for pop culture. I mean, basically, this is the love for this country. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I don't know that made me, it just may be telling me that I'm that old, but no, just kidding, guys. It's great to be on the show, and I just couldn't thank you guys enough for allowing me to be to spend some time with you guys and just shoot the breeze as far as pop culture, politics, and what have you. Just it's been a great time for me, and I just thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my opinions. I know I can blab. It's my fault. My fault, guys. My bad. My bad. Yes, I am. Actually, quite a bit. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. If you just type in Pop Culture Cosmos, it comes right up. It's Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. And it does come up Pop Culture Cosmos, but it is, if you want that official tag, it's at Pop Culture Cosmo, because Twitter was not nice enough to let me add one more S. And Big Haas, remind folks that you find you your Twitter, sir. You can find me on Twitter. Oh, sounds good. We cover the game industry on a regular basis, because as he knows, he'll tell you that it is ever changing, ever evolving, and there's so many great topics and great games we could touch upon. But that'll take another hour right there in itself. And I know you, I know everybody is out there be like, ah. Yeah, we'll let you guys. Well, I think we're over. Underground. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Sounds good. Sounds good.